Mongoose Jake here, back after a substantial break this time, actually. Took a little over a month off from videos, and been working on the workshop. It's not done, but I've wanted to do a video going over all of Buzbee's current blasters for a while, and I thought, well, no better time than the present. So, we're going to go over every single currently available Buzbee blaster. It's kind of like a all-in-one guide. So it's going to be a long one. Stick around, if you would. I'd appreciate it. But I understand. It's going to be a long video, but we're going to do rapid fire, starting with the order that they're in on their website, which I'll put a little scroll here right before we start. And of course, you can go to their website at buzbeetoys.com and see these blasters, you know, with their little details. And Buzbee actually shows where they're available at, which that's something they need to work on. More availability. But without any further ado, let's start out with the first blaster on the list. And one of the best ones. The new Easyfire. Buzbee introduced this blaster, and it rightfully had a lot of positive reviews. It has a unique priming, where it's a over lever, and backs up a neat looking design. It's very, I actually call it very clean. You've got mainly three colors. It's mostly green, white, and blue. There's some black and orange accents here and there. But overall, it's the three color scheme, and this thing is absolutely fantastic. It includes a multi-position extendable stock, and this is one of their best stocks ever. I found it to be pretty solid, but if you hit it hard enough, you can get it to pop out of place. However, it does come with an N-Strike compatible, meaning N-Strike compatible stock attachment, which means you can use any stock that you currently love and throw it on there. But this is a pretty good stock as it is. You know, all things considered, that could be a lot worse. And it has this nice, really easy to use over lever and good performance. Also comes with one of the best magazines for full-length darts of any blaster on the market. This and the Tornado, I think, have the best magazines. I'm a little biased. I mean, you can look around me and see what I like, but I genuinely think that this is the best magazine on the market for full-length darts. The only one that would rival it would be Workers magazines for the aftermarket choices. But out of the stock blasters, that's a tough, durable magazine, coming included with a great blaster. That's the Buzbee Easyfire. Really, just an absolute home run, I think, in my opinion. Going down the list in the order that Buzbee has them on their website, the next thing you're going to see is the little recurve bow. Now, this is not a true bow. This is just a little cosmetic bungee, but it doesn't actually add anything to the pull. This is a self-contained spring, and basically you're pulling the plunger rod back, and it has a front-loading dart and a dart holder here. You basically pop a dart out, throw it in the front, and it does actually have decent performance. It hits just right around elite, you know, around 70 feet per second. It's hard to get a consistent shot. I've had it go anywhere from like 65 to 74 feet per second because you're trying to aim it. When you're trying to aim through a little chronograph, you have to line it up perfect. So, and you're pulling a spring back that's included and self-contained inside of this chamber. So this is you'd say the muzzle, the breech, everything's all in here, and you're pulling back a spring and releasing it. So power is directly related to how far you pull that spring back. And accuracy is definitely up for debate, because you're going to be shaking as you release it. But it's a gimmick blaster, and it's very inexpensive. You're talking about sub $10. So it's fun and silly. I can't really fault it for that. But that's the Buzbee recurve bow. I actually picked mine up, I think at Dollar General, for about, I think right at about $10. That brings us to the pixelator. This is not an expensive blaster, and it has okay performance, actually. All things considered, it outperforms Nerf's offerings. However, I gave this a pretty harsh review when I reviewed it. And you can go search up my videos and check it out. I'm not going to go into all details, but Suffice to say, I had a lot of issues, and I don't just test blasters myself. I do hand them off to other people, both blaster enthusiasts and family members who just simply, will play along with me and give me their feedback. Well, everybody complained about this blaster. It was universal. Nobody I actually let use it of any age liked it. This is a absolute pass. I've only heard of one person who genuinely liked this blaster, and that's Bots and Blasters. You can go check out his YouTube channel. But he's the only one that actually liked this. It's got some weird features. Namely, this full-length trigger. You actually pull the whole grip. I don't know why. That's one thing that caused more issues to everybody that used the blaster, because you inherently grip the blaster. Well, if you do that, you've now locked it. And then, if you have it primed, you can, while just running around, accidentally fire it up in the air. Off it goes. And of course, the grip itself, it's bumpy, it's squared off, like it has the profile of a box, so it doesn't contour to fit your hand. It's just some odd choices, which makes even less sense when you can consider they make one of the best top prime magazine fed blasters on the market. We'll get to that one later. Pixelator, it's a pass. I don't see any reason to ever buy this blaster unless you're just going to stick it on a shelf, maybe. You like the look? I'll give it that, I guess. It does have a unique look. Moving on. Now, moving on to a blaster I absolutely love. I gave it a good review and a very positive review, and I only went to enjoy it even more. That's the Tornado. Some people did not like it, and that's their opinion. I think they're wrong, but that's just me. I have no issues with grip-powered blasters. Now, you might be thinking, wait, the Pixelator, you didn't like that. That's a grip trigger. Whole different ballgame. This is powered by you squeezing. Much like the little grip exercises you can get from like Gold's Gym brand. I actually have like 2 or 3 of them. And just like you have to use your grip to squeeze those, and it has spring resistance, you squeeze this grip, and it actually powers up flywheels. I'll take the mag out. And I think that's as cool as can be. And yes, I know Nerf had their own. It was in the Zombie Strike series. I did a review on that thing years ago, the Rev Reaper, and it has a pump grip that you can pump to get very good performance. This does it differently with the grip. And no, it doesn't hit the same performance that the Rev Reaper does, but you can dual wield this. Yeah. This is one of my favorite blasters. I mean, maybe of all time. It's definitely going to be top 10. I personally like it more than the Rev Reaper, and I am probably the only person who will tell you that. But I love the see-through top panel. Again, I love the magazine it came with. This is a clear version of the blue one that was with the Easyfire. This actually came out first, and this magazine is rock solid. I mean, this could be a self-defense weapon. Not recommending it, but it could also be used in a pinch to hammer a nail into a wall so you can hang a picture. It's really tough. If they can make their blasters out of the same plastic, then they would be indestructible. But that is the Tornado, a manual flywheel blaster that's semi-auto and grip powered. Absolutely love this thing. I cannot say enough about it. I love it. I'm one of the only ones that does. But I stand firm. I love the Tornado. Now, moving on. Back to another little gimmick blaster. You're going to notice a pattern here. Busby does not get away from the gimmicks. And I don't mean that. Gimmick does not mean condescending in a bad way. It really doesn't. Gimmick does not equal bad. Gimmick can equal fun. And these are fun little blasters. This is the mini crossbow pistol. And it is actually band powered. This case, that is a rubber band, much like a slingshot. And basically it is a crossbow styled slingshot. It is a front loader, and you literally pop a dart in, pull back, fling. This one is a little bit better accuracy-wise because it has a surprisingly comfortable grip. That is a surprisingly comfortable grip for any hand size. Wonder, why does this have such a good grip and some of the others don't? The pixelator wants this grip. it could really use it. But it's actually a very neat little blaster you can pick up for $5 at your local Dollar General. Might be elsewhere, but that's where I bought this one. Now we're going to come to a classic blaster. Blaster that's been around, and it's pretty much synonymous with Buzzbee. There's a few that are, but this is definitely one of them. Now, I'm featuring a model that hasn't been around for a little bit because of the thermal sight, but it's the Snipe. Get it all on camera here. It's a big blaster, and this is one of the blasters that a lot of people were introduced to with Buzzbee that has way better than Nerf performance. These things hit around 90 FPS stock. And we'll show you, it's got a true bolt action. And it is fun as can be to use that. But I only loaded one. I had loaded more. I had already used it. I can't resist planking with this. This is such a fun blaster. And I've got a few up on the wall that I have kept one of every series except for the newest one, because that, again, it points to the fact that here's a blaster that everybody should be able to get their hands on. But it's not available very much. Like, the only place you can get it is either maybe it hits a Ross or a Burlington Coat Factory, or it's supposed to be in Meijer. But Meijer doesn't have a website you can order from. I only have one Meijer near me, and they don't stock it. I can't get the newest version. It actually is the nice new dark blue, almost purplish with the green accents, like say the Predator here. The Snipe comes in this color scheme, but I can't get it. So we're gonna have to talk to Buzzbee. We'll have to talk to Buzzbee about availability. I have a whole other video coming out on what Buzzbee needs to do for this year. But the Snipe, a true bolt-action, full-size rifle that is so nice to use, so fun, and this was a family favorite. This was one of my dad's favorite blasters, and for those of you who know the channel, you know that that's important to me. This has been around a long time, and the Snipe was around before Buzzbee was owned by Alex Brands. It's still around, still available. It's still a 90 FPS stock blaster that's magazine fed with a true bolt action, and it's big enough, comfortable enough for anybody to use. You can't go wrong with that. We just need to be able to get them. Now, moving on to what is probably my absolute favorite currently available blaster on the market. That says a lot, but currently available. Because Buzzbee Destiny is my favorite blaster of all time. But as far as currently available blasters, the Buzzbee Revolution. It's a very unassuming blaster. You're looking at this thing and you're like, wait, this just looks like a typical top prime magazine fed pistol. And that's exactly what it is. It is a primary level magazine fed top prime blaster. Smooth as can be action wise. These things fire. I've got at least 12 of these, and every one of them has shot between 83 to 92 feet per second out of the box, unmodded. And then, let's talk modding. This thing now, if you want to see, look back here recently, I did a couple of videos on a couple of them from Performance Mods on Etsy. And with that kit, which is not quite drop-in, it does require modding skill a little bit. It would be the #1 perfect blaster, just about. #1 or 2. If #1 magazine-fed blaster to learn some modding abilities. And that kit pushes this up to over 150 to 160 feet per second. And swaps it from full-length darts to half-length darts. That's awesome. Now, here's the thing. Everybody loved the Retaliator from Nerf. That blaster, when it was on the market, it was around $25. And yes, it came with a stock, it came with a barrel, it came with a couple of attachments here and there. But it was around $25, and it fired right at 71 feet per second. This fires in the mid-80s. And here's the best thing. You find these online ranging from $8 to $12. Yes, $8 to $12. And I find them locally for $10 to $12. Dollar General sometimes has them at $10, sometimes it has them at $12, and I have another local store that sells it for $9.99 all day long. That is a $10 blaster that outperforms Nerf hands down. Oh, and let's talk about the #1 complaint with Busby: ergonomics. This has one of the best grips ever put on a blaster, and I'm not overhyping that. It has the nice little texture and contour. It has a nice, and by texture, it has these little inserts. You can see these are green. It has the little knurled or nubbed texture to it, so it's grippy, even if you're sweaty. And the rest of it's smooth. This offers some grip, and then it has the contours for your fingers, and those actually line up with an adult hand. And the whole thing, you can see the bottom of the grip, bottom of my hand. I wear XL size gloves, so take that as you will. It means it'll fit an adult hand. Top grip for priming. Smooth action, nice grip, large enough to get your hand around, no weird edges. This thing has been made beautifully ergonomically. It's no bigger than you need, and it's packing more than enough performance to beat out everybody but the so-called now pro-level blasters. Like the only top prime magazine fed large pistol format blaster that beats this is the Aeon Pro. And it does. It's, over double the price, but it does beat this. So it becomes, performance-wise, between this or the Aeon Pro, this beats out the Nerf Recon Mark II or any Retaliator variant that's out there right now. This beats it out for both stock performance and moddable performance. And it does it at a half to a third of the cost. This thing is a home run and so underappreciated that it's a crime. That's the Busby Revolution. I could go on and do 10 more videos on this blaster. I absolutely adore this. The Barbarian. That is next up on this list. This is a blaster that I had mixed feelings with, and I still do. The thing is, this is a very good performing blaster. It is a HAMP. Now what that means is that it's a manually pumped air blaster. And you don't get multiple pumps. It is a one-time go that basically you build up enough pressure and it fires the dart. And you have to make sure you line up the two drums. And it can fire rapid, or you can pull slow and fire one or two here or there. But it is slam fire only, and it does pack a tremendous punch. This is very similar to the venerable Sidewinder blaster that Busby has had out for years. And that one unfortunately got a bad rap due to we'll talk more about it later, but it got a bad rap due to a single reviewer reviewing it improperly. And we'll leave it at that. But this one has a mixed bag of a absolutely amazing front grip, one of the better front grips profile-wise out of any blaster, especially considering you have to put some force into this. But it has a horrible rear grip. It really does, and it has a faux trigger that I don't know why. I know what they've told me at Busby. They said that they've done testing and the blasters sell better if they put the trigger, versus, even though it's non-functional, versus blasters that don't have a trigger, they tend to sell better with the faux trigger. And whatever helps them stay in business better in an ethical way, I'm okay with. If having the faux trigger helps Busby stay in business and make a little more money to where we can get new blasters and more blasters, I'm okay with that. I still, personal opinion, I don't like it. Gets in the way. Just give me a nice, big, chunky, comfortable grip that I can use to brace against, because this is a slam fire blaster and I need to be able to grip it good instead of having to do this weird thing that I'm doing now. And yes, it is, for me at least, it's a convoluted mess back here, and I'm having to do all kinds of, I'm not gripping the grip. It just kind of sits against my hand and I grab the trigger guard and everything else. So the Barbarian, I wanted to love it. It's 40 rounds. in dual drums. They even thought to make this quick release to where you can reload these really, really easy. And then instantly be able to slap it back in. It has a tactical rail on top. It looks nice. The front grip is amazing. But this here at the back, I never could get past that. I really never could. Now, in between the two Hamp blasters, here's a manual pump blaster. Except this one is multi-pump. This is the BuzzBee Blow Blaster. The Quad B. B. You pump it a few times. People nickname this something else, but because it came out at the certain same time and it's still available as something that went on throughout the whole world. But you also have to put your mouth to it. It's not your typical like blow dart style blaster, because your air from your mouth doesn't actually propel the dart. All it does is it pushes a little weighted piece forward to slam home and hit a trigger. That's all it does. And it has surprisingly good performance. This one is a newer one. I just took this out of the package here a couple hours ago to mess with. About dropped it. But I just took this out of the package a couple hours ago to mess around with it a little bit, because it's been a while since I've used mine. I had 3 of them around that we used just in the house, and I was getting 85 feet per second out of this thing. A few shots were going over 90. This is a $5 blaster. You pump it a few times, and then you have, like, it's an impact trigger basically, where you're shoving a plunger forward and it hits a little rod and then fires it off after you've compressed some air, much like you do with a bicycle pump or a balloon pump. It's the BuzzBee Blow Blaster, a silly gimmicky blaster that has surprisingly good performance and a silly function. I love BuzzBee for doing this stuff. You can't really compare it to other things. Practicality-wise, who cares? If you're playing a Nerf war and you get somebody out with this thing, you're going to laugh about it, and they get to suffer the shame of losing to this while they've got something like a flywheel blaster. But that's what this is for. Absolutely fun. Now, moving on to what I think is the better of the two Hamp blasters from BuzzBee, this is the Sidewinder. I have had these for years. I absolutely love it. It's a 30-round drum-fed blaster that is slamfire only, just like the Barbarian. And this one packs a serious punch. Now, I alluded to, a reviewer gave the Sidewinder kind of a bad rap in the more recent years, where, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, Coop reviewed this, and he said it was weak. He said he only got 67 feet per second out of it. You can probably go back and find that review, and I probably still have a comment somewhere on that video that told him that he needed to actually pump it harder. I know, phrasing. But this thing will hit way higher than that. It will routinely hit 85, 90 feet per second or more, because all you have to do is fully seat the dart into the drum, and it responds to how hard you slam the grip back. Harder you slam the grip back, the more velocity the dart is propelled with. It is that simple. So user variances will dictate the performance. I routinely hit over 90 feet per second with ranges well exceeding their range claims. This blaster has served me very well. I have an old one that I used in numerous neighborhood Nerf wars where we would set up HVZs and do them here in the multiple backyards, and that thing was a lifesaver. Literally, in the realm of an HVZ Nerf game. But this thing is a fun blaster. It has a carry handle that typically is where I put my sling through, and I just keep this over my back shoulder, and then if you can reach around and all of a sudden you've got 30 rounds at the ready in a slam-fire format, that's very nice. That's very nice if you're in a pinch. So it is a absolutely beast of a secondary blaster, and you could run it as a primary if you don't mind slamfire all the time. So accuracy suffers, performance is very good, but it's more of you need it at close range to spam shots. Sidewinder, one of the best at it. I would say only bested by the Buzz Bee Destiny. And that says a lot, because that's my favorite blaster of all time. This is right up there. Absolutely love this thing. Coming back to another highly underrated blaster in my opinion, I present to you the Buzz Bee Jaguar. The Jaguar has been around for a long time, and people who have been in the hobby, they might remember it to be kind of a weak performing, but neat little blaster. It has a attached 6-round clip that feeds up and through, and so in essence it's the same thing, kind of along the lines of a Nerf Strong Arm or Disruptor, or Buzz Bee's own Zenith from times past, or the Blitz 6 currently, or even the Dynablast, which is also known as a couple other names. But this thing feeds the clip up through, so 6-round capacity in a very small and flat form factor. Around about 2017, this was modernized. It went from being a sub-Nerf Elite performing blaster, you know, we use that as about 70 FPS is the ballpark for that, to outperforming pretty much everything from Nerf, and still being tiny. It also has a comfortable grip. Also has a comfortable top grip. And now packs a punch. This little thing will outperform the full-size Nerf blasters. And it does so just by, they increase the size of the plunger tube inside the blaster, while also not really increasing the cost. This is a very economical blaster. If you can get your hands on one, there is literally no reason not to. This thing is a great little secondary blaster that, when modded, can pack a pretty good punch. And you can mod it in a number of different ways. And I know Buzz Bee doesn't endorse modding, but we're going to do it anyways. You can make it to where the clip can come out. It's very simple. A couple little trim pieces of plastic and out it can come. Which means you can, if you find other Jaguars, you can just take the clips out of them, and then you can have a very compact little setup and just run a pouch full of the clips. Or leave it in, brass this clip, and you get more power out of it just simply by a better contact. And if you brass it, then all of a sudden you can run half-length darts. Put in an upgraded spring, and this thing can be a 115 feet per second blaster very quickly, very easily, and it's fun to do. I've done a number of them. I absolutely love the Jaguar. And in stock form, just for backyard battles, this thing, and then you just have to reset it all the way down. Fun as can be. And again, very economical. This is under $10. Normally you get them for about $8. Can't go wrong there. You really can't. Buzz Bee Jaguar. Another very fun little pistol style blaster from Buzz Bee is the Sentry. Now this is still around. I actually bought this one over the winter here and have been using it as a plinker and eventually it's going to get modded. But I like this one as the color scheme. The red, white, and blue. I probably won't paint this one because I am patriotic and I call it the America Blaster. But this one is only a 2-shot pistol, and it has a rotating plunger tube, so you don't know which one unless you kept track of whichever one was last fired. So I didn't. It's been days since I shot this. So prime the top, very comfortable. It's got a nice little ledge to put your hand against, and fire. Fun little pistol. And again, I got this one for $4.99, but it ranges, you know, about $5 to $7. The Sentry, fun little blaster. Now, moving on to another one that I haven't reviewed in, geez, this thing may have not seen my channel for 5 years or more, because my channel's been around a long time. But that's the Buzz Bee Nighttech, and this is one of those it's a holdover from a long time ago that Buzz Bee's still making, and you can still get them. And it's about a $10 or so blaster, a little under in some cases. And it is a neat design. The Buzz Bee Zenith shared a bit of similarity to this, but they were wildly different in actual internal functions. But it is a pump action pistol. You don't get that very often. And it has 6 shots, and it has round about 70 FPS. But it has a trick. It has a very neat little feature, because it says Nighttech in its name, and you're thinking, why does it say that? What makes this night-worthy? Well, this little orange design is not, that's not just a design. It's a button. And out pops a little scope that has two little LEDs, two little green LEDs on the side. So it has a built-in flashlight with the scope. And it's a neat little gimmick. And the fact is, the blaster itself performs well. It six-shot revolver design, and oh, got one left. There we go. 6-shot revolver design with a neat little pop-up sight that also has built-in flashlights. That's neat, silly, silly in a sense and gimmicky in another, but they didn't really up the cost in order to add something that some people are going to find very neat. Even if you don't run, batteries in it, it does have a little printed on crosshair, so it is a sight. But you don't have to use it. If you don't like it, leave it down in the blaster. The batteries come in it. It's not one of those where I gotta go get batteries. It's going to cost me even more now. No, if you don't want it, don't use it. Just use the blaster as it is, because it's a pretty good blaster at its base, just in its base form. The only thing is, if you have really larger hands, this has this weird hook on the bottom of the grip, and it will be a bit constrictive to larger hands. My pinky ends up kind of missing out on some space there. But it's not uncomfortably so. I'm still able to grip it. It's just, it feels a little crowded. And if your hands are smaller, it's perfectly fine. But it's neat. A pump action pistol. And does not have slam fire. It doesn't. But it's still a fun blaster. That's the Busby Nighttech. This is going to get its own full-featured review here shortly. I hadn't done one in forever, and this is a new one that I just picked up. I've only been using it for about a week. So you'll see more on this in a upcoming video. So hang around the channel. Check it out when I release that. Now, a old blaster that has hung around absolutely unchanged in any form. It still even has the old dart post from Busby back in like 2009. I'm pretty sure that, yeah, that hasn't been changed at all. And that is none other than the Tech 3. You've seen others come and go, tiny little blasters, some of them having the clips, some don't. This is meant to be like hung on a backpack or a keychain. It's tiny. And it has 3 shots. It doesn't have a huge amount of power. And it's itty bitty. It doesn't even have a self-rotating cylinder here, or turret if you want to call it. You have to manually rotate it. It feels very light duty, but it's still around. I bought this one for about $4, and I bought a dual pack for not much more. These things are cheap. You can get them in singles, you can get them in doubles, you can get them in quadruple packs. It's the Busby Tech 3. This thing is ubiquitous with Busby, much like the Jolt is for Nerf. You don't care about the performance. It's just meant to be a silly little pocketable blaster. You can go get a ton of these things and pass them out as like party favor and have fun with them. And I don't care what age you are. It's still fun to fling foam with this itty bitty little teeny tiny blaster that's smaller than your hand. I could hide it. I could hide it in my fist. But that's the Tech 3. Find them all kinds of places. And it's not going to win any performance. No, it's not going to win any ergonomic competitions. It's silly. It has a clip. 3 shots with a clip. Not a clip that you feed. A clip you can hang on to. Keychain, belt loop, backpack, wherever. Fun as can be, silly as can be. Quintessential Busby product. Now we move on to a blaster that now has been around for a while. And I don't think some people realize how long it's been around. That is the Busby Monoral. This thing has seen a number of different color schemes, but for all practical purposes and functionality purposes, it's unchanged. And it brought something that was, I think, more revolutionary than people give it credit for. This is a rear load tube mag. and it feeds through a toothed, it's not really a conveyor system. It looks like that because the darts just keep moving forward as you pump, but it has a toothed track system that moves and pushes darts forward, goes down, moves and pushes dart forward as you pump the blaster. And it is one of the coolest things ever. And I only put a few in there, so it has to cycle through. There we go. I think I put 4 in there, but you can top off. I'm going to steal a dart here. I am completely out. But you can top off by throwing a dart in through the back, close the port, and then once you fire off a few times, you'll actually see the dart. I'm going to come closer. You can see that blue dart. I will have to fire it to get it forward. And you'll see it transporting forward until now fires. It pulls it all the way forward. It can hold 6. And then once it gets here to this bulge section, it actually has an arm that lowers it down in to the breech, which the breech is down here in this section. And they do have a jam door, and that is one of the coolest designs. The Monoral has one of the coolest designs on a blaster I've ever seen. And keep this in mind. This thing, when it came out, you think, okay, if that was Hasbro, this is a $30 blaster. 6-round capacity, pump shotgun style, and with a innovative feature like that, you're like, okay, that's $30, $40, right? No, when this thing came out, it was $12 for a Monorail. I think now they're $15. No, that's awesome that you get something that, and it works very, very well. Now, it does need gravity to help it out. It really does. If you're actually loading it like this, I don't know why you would do this, but if you're like leaning around a corner, maybe that'd be the only reason you'd ever do that. Or if you're running and you're priming while running, it can affect the system because that last drop does require gravity because it has an arm that lowers with the dart on it. You know, it doesn't actually like push the dart, which that would be one improvement they could do. But if you're holding it vertically and not jostling it around, it doesn't have any issues. To make a reliable, innovative system like this, and to put it out, oh, and by the way, this thing fires at about 80 feet per second. Give or take, because some of them I've had go down as low as about 73 to 74. I've had some of them hit 82 and 83. So it's a real accurate way to say it would be this thing fires between about 75 to 80-ish on average. And it feeds most darts reliably. There's a few that might give it some hiccups here or there, like some aftermarket larger tip darts that are like the waffle heads. They can get hung up, and really worn out darts can cause some issues. So the system's not perfect, but it's pretty reliable, and the blaster's cheap. Like very, very cheap, especially considering what it does. It's one of the most innovative blasters that have ever hit the market, in my opinion. And it's still available. And it's still cool as the day it came out. And it's one of my top 5 favorite all time. That's how big of a deal to me it is, at least. Just me personally. This is one of my top 5 favorite blasters ever made. So, I am biased. I love the Monorail for everything about it. The actual functionality, the actual performance, and its innovation while maintaining the economy that Busby's known for. That's a big deal to me. You can buy 4 of these for a family, have fun, and with a neat, not cookie cutter blaster. That's Busby to a T, and I love it.